Excellent. Is that my cue?
That's your cue. Back to you, Gail.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Bridget. Welcome everyone to the Rainforest Lunch Without Lunch, our weekly event across Alberta. It's definitely the silver lining in a long year that all of us know a lot about. So happy to have everyone available remotely online from across the province. Many of you are regular attendees. Just a quick reminder in Zoom etiquette, if you could raise your hand to ask to speak or put your comments in the chat. And then between Bridget, myself, and Amber, we can, of course, raise those questions. And if there is time, perhaps people can ask them in person, but we'll see how that goes. Of course, Code of Conduct is, this is a collaborative ecosystem where we're building trust and community. So everyone, inclusive, respect, and thank you for your contribution. So everyone knows the rainforest is an analogy, or many of our returnees, actually, rainforest analogy is featured in this important book, where we're trying to create a thriving tech community, and the analogy, the rainforest was not planted, but all the elements were together that created this random thriving ecosystem. So with that, we're putting all the components in place, investors, entrepreneurs, inventors, community builders, to again support this thriving ecosystem that we're looking to build across Alberta. So I can give you some time to explicitly read the vision and mission. I feel like I'm on a fast forward, so I won't read out loud to everyone, especially since I know there's a lot of returnees. It would be interesting, Bridget, we could actually ask anyone if they have any. You often ask, are there any new people to the rainforest? Is that an appropriate thing for me to ask, Bridget, or do you want to?
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
All right, so we do this by a raise of hands. How many new people do we have here at the rainforest? Now I can't see the hands because we have the PowerPoint up here.
Yeah, there's a reaction button at the bottom of your screen. So we have for sure Andy, I'm seeing, possibly more. Something we just
good. Go ahead, Bridget.
Something we just talked about with our friends from the YYC Data Society was if anyone feeling comfortable enough to throw their name in the chat and maybe their area of work or expertise or something they can offer to the group, and then those who are looking to connect with particular individuals can identify you that way. So feel free to do that now or throughout the hour.
Very good. So with our overall agenda, we tell everyone about the rainforest and the overall construct, the fact that it's a community built of trust, support tech sector growth, and the social contract as an explicit way to share, if you will, our code of conduct and our principles. And once, for all the new members, if you sign the social contract, you'll be part of the Slack, which again is an interesting way to engage with the community. But key pillars are building trust, paying forward, being fair, listening. And actually, I'm happy to go into the 6 pillars, where this is where I bring Bridget to take over. Bridget, take over.
Sorry, Gail. I don't know, my slide buttons here aren't working with in sync with you today. So apologies for that. But yeah, here are our 6 pillars that the ecosystem are based on. And this does come directly from the Rainforest book. Here at the Rainforest, every week at Lunch Without Lunch, we really try to focus on the pillars of culture, leadership, engaged activities, and we often bring elements of the others, such as resources available to everyone in the community, showcase them here to you at Lunch Without Lunch. And so today we're taking a bit of a different spin away from our usual kind of tech related talk and really focusing on the leader and culture pillar. And so I'm just going to attempt to find my mouse and stop sharing so we can see our faces. Great, here we are. So today, yeah, a bit of a different spin, and I'm quite excited about that. I was introduced to Tanya from Brown Begging for Kids. She's the executive director there. I think through Courtney, previous community manager, where they were thinking up ways we could collaborate. And then after talking to Tanya, I thought, wow, there's so much alignment with the culture of trust that we are trying to build in the innovation sector and the work that she does through leadership and nonprofit work. So Tanya is an authentic and collaborative leader who has built her life's work around her education, experience, purpose, and passion of empowering people, organizations, and communities to be the best they can be so they can create good in the world. I loved how you signed your email to me yesterday, Tanya, which was better together. And I thought, wow, two such simple words, yet so resonated so much with the rainforest. So I love that we have you here today. In her capacity as executive director of Brown Bagging for Calgary Kids, Tanya feels privileged to be part of a team that is inspiring a city of people to take meaningful action by feeding and caring for kids who would otherwise go hungry. When she's not focusing on brown bagging for kids, Tanya has a passion to help leaders have the courage to be more authentic and human-centered. She guides leaders to learn more about how to listen to themselves, know their purpose, and care for others so that they can be impactful in life and in leadership. And so I'm going to throw it right over to Tanya, who's going to do a bit of a presentation today. As per usual, please chat in the chat function, chat directly to each other, chat to the whole group, or however you feel comfortable. Throw questions in there, and Tanya, you can either answer them as you go if you see them, or we'll help you field those as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm just going to give a little bit of a caveat. We've had to come to stay at our little cabin to be closer to Edmonton to see some family that isn't doing well. And the sun is coming in the windows up top, and we don't have blinds on the windows. So if I'm dark, you can give me the like move, and I'm not complaining about the sun. So and my technology system isn't, I have a great setup at home that I'm kind of adapting here. So I know you guys will be patient with me on that. So thank you for having me. And yeah, I've got a little bit of a presentation I'll give, but please jump in if there's a question or something I've said that you just are curious about. We'll go on the fly and just sort of make this as conversational as we can for you. Thank you for having me here. I have become a huge admirer of the goals and the intentions and the system behind this rainforest ecosystem. I think it's an incredible opportunity for our province to create in this tech startup world, and also to inspire other sectors. I've been looking at what you guys are doing in this rainforest is how I can take the learning and bring it into that nonprofit sector, even in specifically the food security sector. So great job, and it's an honor to be here. I feel like we probably could have shared lots of different shared learning conversations today, but we're going to start with a couple pieces. So I'm going to share my screen here and just have a few little slides to share with you. You got that? Over there. All right. So we're going to talk about brown bagging a little bit and how that can relate to some pieces you can look at within what you're doing, and then also talking about the culture of trust and how that aligns to your one of your values in your social contract. So tell you a little bit of a story about a little boy named Leo. Leo was at school one day, and his teacher noticed he was eating this brown kind of floury substance out of a little plastic bag. And as she went over to see Leo and see what he was doing and what he was eating, she discovered that this is what Leo was eating. It was the powder of the box of a cake mix. When she kind of talked a little bit more to Leo and then ended up connecting with his mom, found out that they had received some food, which they were so grateful for, but they didn't have the oil and the eggs to make the cake. So that was all they had in the cupboard. And then when Leo went in to get his lunch for school that day, that's all he was there able to take. This is a reality for about 5,600 kids in Calgary that would otherwise go to school hungry. We've seen that number fluctuate and unfortunately grow. And that's why brown bagging is here, so we can make sure that we feed kids like Leo. So brown bagging has been around for 30 years. We've evolved and changed and adapted to what the needs are and how we can create a better impact in the world. The last 8 years, we've really been focusing on community because we saw that so many people wanted to come around and help kids like Leo so that they could grow and learn. And it's a simple act. It's making lunches. It's not rocket science. So we really started engaging community and saw that people, instead of coming to our downtown kitchen, which is the heart and soul of brown bagging, they could make lunches in their local community, in a local church, in a business, in a restaurant, in a basement of somewhere, and feed their local community school or kids. So we really started engaging the power of people. And then as we've shifted into that, will bring us right forward to March 13 last year. So this looming lockdown in this uncertain world that we were engaging in, and we didn't know what it was going to look like. There was two things that became very present for brown bagging. One is, what was the team going to need in this time? How are we going to care for our people, our volunteers, our staff, so that we kids continue to do the work? And the next thing is, schools are closed. How do we still feed kids? So that first weekend, when we were heading into that, heading into lockdown and into the start of this pandemic, we really got intentional on a few pieces. So some of the planning we put in place for the organization, the people in the organization, is we ensured there was daily check-ins. How are we checking in using online software? We aren't as tech savvy as you all, so we had to go into a remote system. How are we checking in with people? We made sure that we were having one-on-one meetings with our teams and our leadership team so that they could check in and keep moving forward and what we needed to do. As a leader, I knew that the team needed to see my face. So I intentionally planned a structure that in a week that they were making sure they were seeing me. An example would be Monday morning, I do a Monday morning message and I would just touch base. And maybe there was times I was saying, this is what I know. And there was times I was saying, this is what I don't know, because there was so much uncertainty. But it was a time for them to just hear from me, see my face, have some information, give some mindset shifts, some ideas, some encouragement, aligned to our purpose. And then I had a few other intentional times that I would really make sure I was connecting with the team. One of the fun things we would do is we'll talk a little bit about the value of play in our cultures and in the work that we do. Even our work is pretty serious work. We're feeding hungry kids. That's pretty heartbreaking. And so we have a dog. We knew we were getting a puppy, and I took Don Cherry's canine, our coach's corner, and I created canine corner. And I would just do a fun little message with the puppies and the dogs and just share that with the team. So it wasn't always serious. It wasn't always intense and heavy in this world. There was some lightness and some laughter and some frustrations with having a puppy in the house. So those are some of the things we did in very intentionally. And the other, probably most important thing we did is we created a caring connect. So every other week, as a team of people who now are in this remote world and all over the city and trying to do really impactful work, we had a time that we connected, and it was nothing about work. It was about laughing together, sharing stories, sharing some tears, sharing some stress, creating together, innovating, having really great conversations. That was purely about connecting as human beings. And we have continued to do that. It's a shared leadership model. It's empowering, and it's very engaging for our team. And that's been a key part of our culture, because we all know this world has created a lot of uncertainty and stress for us, and we still needed to connect as human beings to do the important work we needed to do. The next thing we did for brown bagging was on March 16th, that Monday when schools closed, we sat at the back couches of our kitchen downtown, and we didn't even have a conversation about, I guess we're shutting down because the schools are closed. Immediately, within 24 hours, we created a whole new program, and we offer grocery gift cards to families. We extended a lot of trust because we were connecting with teachers and families to ensure that kids, when they were at home learning, were still having a little bit of food support. So we started sending grocery gift cards to these families a couple times a month, so they'd have some sustainable support just to help with what they needed. A reality on that and a perspective that might be thoughtful for you guys is that teachers had to do some of this work because there was some computer literacy, not having a computer, and also some language literacy barriers that teachers would have to sign up these families. So we immediately shifted and innovated into this opportunity to still feed kids while they were at home with this grocery gift card program. And in that, a huge value of trust. Essentially, we were sending cash to people, trusting that they were signing up, but we also trusted that what they needed is what we could help have a little bit of support with. So in that, lots of learning, lots of failures, lots of successes, collaboration with other organizations. We knew our strengths, we knew our weaknesses. We had to own up to, sorry, we've miscommunicated something. There was lots of learning as we were innovating and moving forward just to help these hungry kids. But I would say the biggest opportunity in that was that we had, for the first time ever in 30 years, had direct contact with our families. We were now talking to our families as they were signing up for these grocery cards and how we could help them. So the opportunity there was, and I will say the gift of COVID in this, is that we were able to enter into that human-centered design practice and ask these families what they needed. And that's pretty much where we're at today, is we know that kids are at the heart of brown bagging. And we have this opportunity to continue to evolve as an organization. I don't even say as a nonprofit. I like the language more where a for-profit or an impact organization or social impact organization, because we know kids are the heart of brown bagging. Asking them and their families what do they need will help evolve where brown bagging is going, so that kids like Leo that are coming to school with nothing or very little can have the opportunity to have a healthy lunch, feel cared for, and then that we know that from there that helps them to be the best that they can be. So I mentioned about extending trust to these families. And we know that we were engaging in that huge piece of trust. But then we think about, how do we do that? How can we dive a little bit deeper into understanding what trust is? And I know for you guys, this is two values in your social contract: trust and then the pay it forward. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that and I'll share a little bit more into that. But I will just pause here. And if there's any, I don't know, I haven't seen the chat. Bridget, is there any questions or thoughts at this point before I continue on about talking about trust?
We have nothing in the chat. Feel free to raise your hand if you want to make any comments. Oh, sorry, that was Tanya.
I got a quick question.
I see. Yep.
Great presentation, great program, and thank you for this. I am also into the charity space, and so if I can be of some help, let me know. But I'd like to know kind of how you're raising your money. And I've got a couple ideas that have come of light lately that are really great money making machines for purpose businesses like yours.
Yeah.
You're a bona fide charity, right?
Yes. Yeah. We are.
Yeah,
Peter, you definitely reach out to me. Have a good conversation. We have I believe that we have actually been fairly successful. And I say that lightly when I talk about success or impact, because the reality is there's hungry kids, right? So our success and our impact is about feeding kids that are hungry, the ones that we know of, we've no wait lists. How do we engage people really well in this culture and in our values? And also that we can raise the money we need. We are independently funded organization, 100% relationship fund development. And I will share that last year we were able to engage amazing, generous, kind people, and we raised actually 75% over our initial targets for our revenue. Partly we needed to, because gift cards, we found out, are more expensive when we were sending out the gift cards in that way and the number of kids we were seeing. And we're also at the place, because of our world, that we need to be continuing to diversify our funding. So we are exploring social enterprise opportunities and even fee-for-service opportunities. Because the reality is we have great people and systems and processes in place, but you need to have the funds to sustain those pieces, as you guys all understand. So we are engaging in really different conversations, how we can diversify so we can be sustainable to be here to meet the need. So yeah, Peter, I'd love to connect with you further on that. That's great. Thanks. So if we continue to sort of talk about this sort of value of trust and how do we do this and what does it mean? How does it relate to you guys in your world and is in this rainforest for you? We know that we need trust starts with connection, and that's intentional actions to build trust. And so how do we intentionally do that? And I will just show the slide and then I will come off slides. Is, what I love about this image is trust it's a climb enough that mountain, but it's about the connection between the people to do it together. Also the belief of better together. And so we know that connection builds trust. So if we have to start with that place, then how do we move into a place of, and how do we do this? How do we do trust? So I'll share with you for a minute what my belief in our practice has been as an organization of people at Brown Bagging and as leaders, is that actually the connection piece starts with ourselves. That we get to know ourselves, our self-awareness. How do we get to know what is our emotional intelligence? How are we being mindful? What are our values? What are our strengths? What do we need as humans beings? Because no matter what we're doing in any type of world, we're still human and we're entering into those conversations, those collaborations as human beings. So how do we show up in that place of self-awareness so that we can show up grounded? Because then we can get rid of some of maybe that ego or those fears, those insecurities, and we can show up confident. I will talk about the word safe vulnerability, which I know sometimes is a little bit like, I don't want to be vulnerable. I'm not telling you to give your deep, dark, dirty secrets, but there's a safe vulnerability also to show up with our fallibility so that what are we doing well and what aren't we doing well, that we can own our mistakes and our learning opportunities. And these are that's a foundation of if we want to build that culture of trust. It starts here within ourselves, that self-awareness, that emotional intelligence piece. Then from there, how do we genuinely care for the people in our span of care? Now, I know you might be like solopreneurs, small teams, huge organizations, lots of growth, collaborations, partners, all those things. But again, we're showing up as human beings. I loved coming onto this call and the conversations. I think it was Brad with his Brad muffins. I can't see my full screen, but Brad with his Brad muffins, just sharing like a human connection. Brad, I'm not calling you out, but Brad makes brown muffins and has the recipe. Brent, there we go. I knew it was a B. Love, that's a human connection. It's just about connecting as human beings. Bridget was taking her sourdough out of her oven, which I want to come over for sourdough. But that's what that's about. It's about starting with yourself, and then how do you create those genuine connections with people in whatever that looks like for you. Those are the foundations that build that culture of trust. And I know for us to have the impact we have with our staff team, the hundreds of volunteers a week we have, to the kids we feed, that is a big part of how we genuinely care for those people, and in that they're in our span of care. Because we see people, we know now, outside of their doors, or they're beside their coffee table or kitchen table, there's families and sourdough coming out of the oven, and kids and dogs and stresses and joys and ups and downs, that we need to connect with these people and know what's best for them. Have you thought about what's best in the best interest of the people that you're working for, and just taking that moment to truly connect with those people? Again, that connection builds trust. So doing that very intentionally in that way. The other thing I'm just going to mention here too is play. So I would venture to say that you guys know the value of play, and if not, I'll be a reminder for you that we know play, if we don't take ourselves too seriously, play helps us to be more creative, more innovative, and it's better for our mental health. So we can really intentionally find the ways, even as adults, to play. It's vital. So that's that I talked about, that canine corner that I did with my team. That was purely about the value of play, just to get people out of the heaviness and creating some of that play, those play pieces. So I'm just going to share my screen again. So my invitation for you is, oops, is it going to work here? There we go. My invitation for you is three things, is that you can get curious on these. So one is, can you create a space to get away from your technology? And I don't just say this here because of who you guys are and what you do. I say this to everybody. Get away from technology to breathe, be present, play, create time for that self-awareness to get to know yourself and pay it forward. It's good for us in these places and these times to actually do something good for somebody else. And I know that's a value for you guys. So that's the first thing I'd invite you to get curious on. next thing is, how can you plan some intentional, genuine care times, genuine times for care and connection? So again, it's not, you don't have to go into the deep, dark places that people sometimes aren't comfortable with. Sometimes you just, it's getting to, what's your favorite, local coffee shop? What's your favorite ice cream? I had a brilliant conversation with an author yesterday that I reached out to, that I'm a huge geek on his work and his book. And, just the connection I had with him was, I just asked him what the best part of his week was. What was toughest part of his week was. Didn't go, into all the personal deep, dark learnings of him, but just those pieces. Even, what are you learning this week? Great questions to ask, just to plan intentional times to genuinely care and connect with the people in your span of care. And the next invitation is to get curious about what your bigger purpose is. We know at Brown Bagging, our bigger purpose is that we want kids like Leo to make sure that he has the food he needs and the care he needs to reach his full potential. In the work you do in the tech startup world, what is your bigger purpose? What gives you meaning in your work? What meaning are you giving to others in the work you're doing? Finding that bigger purpose helps us to have that significance and understand what that significance is. There is incredible power in meaning and purpose and the significance that you have in your work. So doing these things, we've been able to, as an organization, as a nonprofit or a for impact organization, have great impact for our kids and be a successful organization in the province and even in the country. And I do believe it's about this culture of trust, that we've been able to build that to help us be successful and impactful as we can. So for you guys, for you to be your best innovative and impactful self, how can you intentionally practice these things in this culture of trust to be the most impactful in the work that you're doing? And on that, I'm grateful for this time and you're listening in, and I will stop sharing and invite any conversations or questions or curiosities.
In the chat, I think you've inspired people to think about food. So they're contributing as a community to sharing those experiences that you were talking about on a human level. So you have inspired people in more than one way.
Awesome.
Tanya, I have a quick question. I have a comment, if you can hear me. First of all, I want to say everybody says they have a passion, but seldomly do I hear that in their voice like I heard yours today. So I just want to comment that I can hear so much from how you're presenting about how passionate and committed you are to this cause, and I think it's wonderful. I'm in Edmonton, so I'm just wondering, you're in Calgary and I'm in Edmonton. I'm wondering, do you have a sister company, or not, I don't want to call company, but you know what I mean, a sister organization, or do you work directly with anybody in Edmonton, or have any good links here that I'm wondering if there's somebody that's doing that in Edmonton. I mean, we have the Edmonton Food Bank, for example, but I don't think they're doing the brown bag kind of concept and what you've done recently under the circumstances with COVID.
Yeah. So there isn't. We are actually the only. Sorry, Greg. What'd you say again at the end there?
I said I'm gonna mute and just listen. Thanks.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Greg. So we are actually the only organization that gives free lunches across the country, the way we do it, and with sort of the power of people and community. The closest partners we would have in Edmonton would be E4C. I think it's called I think it's E4C or EC4. I have to double check. Barb is their executive director, so we have connected with them. They do work with kids in schools in a slightly different way than we do, and that's who our partner is there, and somebody we collaborate with. So a great organization doing great work, just a little bit different. And I will also say that's kind of the opportunity that Brown Bagging is at right now in terms of some innovation and greater impact and maybe even social enterprise, is how could we share our model across the province or across the country, even making sure kids are fed with the power people and caring. So yeah, so E4C, and I can check into that exactly, Greg. It's just I'm forgetting the acronym exactly and what it stands for.
That's okay, Tanya. I'm
Yeah.
That's okay. I can find out, but I was just curious. And
Okay.
no, I like your program. I think it's fantastic. So good job.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
E4C is a great organization too. So I'm not sure on the scope as you mentioned, but that is a correct acronym.
Good. Okay. I couldn't remember what it was exactly. So yeah, Barb is their executive director and she's fantastic. So
Ross has put the link up for that. Thanks, Ross. Any other questions,
Oh,
comments, how this relates to your work? As usual, we'll head into breakout rooms to have some smaller conversations where we could potentially feel more comfortable chatting about this. Part of the reason we have Tanya here today is because of the particular focus we are taking on the social contract and the values within. You've heard leaders in the rainforest like Brad and Jim talking about trust a lot here at Lunch Without Lunch and elsewhere. If you see them speak elsewhere, it's core to what we do. And so having this conversation to reroute and remind ourselves of the social contract we've all agreed to adhering by is important, in giving back and paying it forward. Jade, did you have something to say? Have you unmuted? Oh no, that's just what my screen's done. Okay, so if no other comments, we will head into breakout rooms now. And if you're looking for things to talk about, if you're falling short on things to talk about, perhaps maybe ways you can implement some of these learnings into your startup, into your work, your daily lives, and the rainforest community. So I will create the rooms now. We'll have time for a few rooms today, so we'll be able to circulate and get to know a good handful of people. So 7-ish minutes in this one, and then we'll rotate.
Awesome.
Yeah, hopefully some good conversation in there. That's usually where the magic happens in the rainforest.
Yeah, amazing. So good. Thank you.
Hopefully
it was what you were looking for. It was great. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it was definitely what I personally was looking for. So I hope everyone else got that.
Yeah. So good.
We left Amber with 20 seconds and she did a great job.
It was elevator pitch style.
Really weird.
Teach people like how to pitch something with a very constrained amount of time, because if you don't get it, you're literally kicked out off the stage. So
totally. Yeah, for those who stayed on last week and tested the Wonder platform with us, let me know if you have any feedback, if you liked it. We were going to throw it in the mix today, but I just wasn't feeling prepared enough for such a big change. So hopefully we'll try for next week. TJ loved it. Awesome. Send me more feedback if you have it. It's very similar to the Calgary startup we were going to demonstrate last week. And so we could use it until the Calgary startup's ready to put their product fully out there. Al says it was interesting. I don't know if that was good or bad. There's definitely a learning curve with any new platform, right? Ross really liked it. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll try it again next week when I am more prepared. So hope you had fun in all those breakout rooms and got to know people and build some trust. We're going to do community announcements right now, and I'll start with, you've likely seen on our social or Slack that the Calgary Rainforest Summit is being held on May 4th from 9 a.m. to noon. It'll be an interactive morning deep diving into the social contract and how that will contribute to our goal of reaching 1,000 startups by 2031 in the city of Calgary. And so it will be an interesting conversation, and all are welcome. So even if there are just some curious Calgarians, who aren't really active in the innovation ecosystem, but want to get to know people, this might be a way for them to do that, as usual with Rainforest. So there's that. We have the Rainforest role models that Amber has started. You can go to our website if you want to nominate someone to be a Rainforest role model. And lastly, we are starting some features on storytelling on entrepreneurs. Specifically, so any great startups that you're a part of or a founder of or know of, and they want to have their story shared more broadly, we want to help them do that. And we have a few partners in Calgary here who want to help boost your stories as well. That will help support that initiative. So I know Peter has an announcement, and then anyone else?
I
Peter?
did see that Alberta Women Entrepreneurs has a last day for nominations today. So I did see, I think Marcella had joined us earlier, but I don't know if she's there right now.
Oh, is she here? Cool. Okay, don't see her now. Clubhouse Tech Leaders Thursday afternoon, 2 p.m. I think Jade's put the info in the chat a few times. So join on Clubhouse, direct message me your phone number if you'd like an invite to Clubhouse. It's only for iOS though, but I do have some invites for that. And
Is
Lee,
it that
go
you
ahead.
can only invite iOS users? Because the app's on Android now.
Oh, is it on Android now? That's
Yep.
just new. Okay, cool. Yay.
One thing, Gail,
Clubhouse for all.
the link you shared for Eventbrite, it doesn't work.
Darn it, maybe it was too short. Do go to the Rainforest website. It will be right there, but I'll see if I can give you another.
Okay, and Lee, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Great to see everybody. I've been around the rainforest ecosystem for a while, and I'm not as active as I used to be, but I love to pop in every now and then. I'm with the Aquatic Biosphere Project, and we are looking for a board member who can head off innovation programming. And this will be more or less focused around water technologies, but it's an open sandbox. If you're interested, jump on board. We've got all sorts of cool stuff going on, and we could use some help. So I'll drop our website and my email in the chat. Thank you very much.
That's great. Thanks, Lee. Thanks for coming and sharing. Al, go ahead.
I just want to say, first of all, a shout out and a thank you to Patrick Wu. He did his first episode of the Leaders, Innovators, and Big Ideas podcast, where he interviewed our great friend of the community, Mackenzie Bedford, who used to be the community manager for Rainforest Alberta. So tune into that episode. It's quite cool. And thanks, Patrick. You did a great job.
Thanks, guys. Can you, or looking forward to that. Mackenzie and I are working on a little project in the background for the rainforest, and I can't wait to share. Maybe she talked about it on the podcast. Anything else, throw it in the chat. We're at the top of the hour now, and I want to take a minute to say thank you to Tanya for joining us and sharing your insight from your work in leadership and your work for nonprofits. Yeah, really inspirational and really applicable to the rainforest social contract. So thank you for your time. I'll keep the room open.
Thank you for having me.
I got a quick announcement.
Sure, go ahead. I'll keep the room open for those who want to stay on.
Thanks. So we're raising money for the Children's Hospice again. I don't know if you people know there's a hospice for kids in Calgary. And there's a 50-50 draw out there that I've posted in the site, so you can get yourself a cheap ticket and know that you've helped the kids. And it's a really critical program for kids that are in tough shape and their families, of course. So this is a program that looks after the kids for the parents to get a mental break. So anyway, there's money there. And then I also have found a wallet for a guy named Andrew Cornelius. Actually, my card was in his wallet, and it showed up at a second cup. So if anybody knows an Andrew Cornelius, we have his wallet. And yeah, I think that's it for now. Take care.
Have a great day, everybody.
See you all next week.
Au revoir. See you soon.